Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Now let's get straight to it. All right, so today we're going to go over Romans, the 11th chapter. So we can call this Romans 11 in the election of grace. And we're going to go over this chapter because it covers many different topics that, need to be gone into. We need to be investigated. All right. Like the election of grace and what that is and who is it referring to. All right. But really, we just investigating this one chapter, seeing what it has to say, what we can learn from it. And also, these different topics here, we can break them down. So let's go ahead, start at the top here. Let's get Romans chapter 11 and verse 1.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 11, starting from the top. I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
I really don't remember seeing this back when I visited church. I really don't remember seeing this at all or anyone bringing this out. It's like it was just skipped around or something. Either way, though, this is Paul telling us that he is an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. And that more importantly here, that the Most High has not cast away his people. Okay, like we went into last lesson, that's the narrative that a lot of people push, is that the Most High has cast away the Israelites, and now, the New Testament, the Bible is about the Gentiles, meaning the other nations. But we see that cannot be true. He said, God forbid. All right. Israel will never be cast away. That's in the scriptures. Thus saith the Lord. Let's get it. Psalms chapter 94 and 14.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 14. For the Lord will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance.
You said that the Most High will cast away his people in the New Testament?
For the Most High will not cast off his people.
Will not cast off his people. Okay, neither will he forsake his inheritance. The kingdom is the Israelites' inheritance. It will not be forsaken. All right, it will come to pass. Every word that the Most High spoke, it will come to be. Okay, and so Paul is pretty much just quoting Psalms chapter 94 and 14 right here. Have God cast away his people? God forbid. That means no, absolutely not. And he's saying that he's an Israelite, so he's not cast away, cast off. All right. Get even more proof here. Let's get verse. Just real quick. 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 39.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 39. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever.
But not forever. All right, the seed of David was afflicted because of his transgression, but not forever. All right, we know that Yahweh Shai, or Christ, what they call a Christ today in English, he is through the seed of David. All right, he is an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. So if you think that the Most High has cast off the Israelites, you also think that he's cast away his son. All right, which doesn't make sense. You can't say you are a believer in Christ, but you believe he's been cast off. All right, meaning cut off as a people, meaning they're no longer the chosen people, the Israelites. That's what that means, to be cast off, or at least that's the idea that's pushed. Okay, we really could get all of Psalms chapter 105, but we'll get to the point. Let's start at verse 6.
The book of Psalms, chapter 105 and verse 6. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen.
The children of Jacob are the chosen. There ain't nothing you can do about that. Keep on.
He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth.
Con. Keep on.
He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations.
He have remembered his covenant forever. All right. The word has been commanded to 1,000 generations, meaning forever. All right. Keep going.
Verse 9, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac.
Remember, we went into that. All right. That covenant that he made in Genesis 12th chapter, where it says all families of the earth shall be blessed. It's referring to the Israelites. All right, we keep going.
Verse 10, and confirm the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant.
It's to Israel for an everlasting covenant, and ain't nothing you could do about it. All right, so things didn't just switch up magically like that. You know, if it did, it did. You know, I go by what the scriptures say. So it's not my own personal beliefs or anything like that. You know, if that was the case, it was just the case. That's what the Most High say. I go with what he go with. I'm down with whatever the Most High down with, straight up. But that's just not the case. It's not what the scriptures say, and we can see that here clearly. All right. Oh, okay. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go back to Romans 11, and then we can now get verse 2.
All right. The book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 2, and it reads, God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Would ye not what the scriptures say of Elias, how he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life.
So this is the prophet Elijah. He was making intercession with the Most High. At this time, wicked Ahab, he was killing all the prophets. All right. And the man Obadiah had to hide prophets from, them being killed by him. But we're about to get that in a second. Let's get verse 4.
Verse 4. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
So really, let's get this first, and then we're going to pretty much jump into verse 5 to kind of explain what he was referring to here. But we can get what Paul is going into here, get that account. All right. So we can start at, we're not going to get the whole thing because the point pretty much had been made, but I just wanted to go and get the actual account. It says Elijah at Horeb. Let's give verse 9. We'll start verse 9.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 19 and verse 9. And he came thither unto a cave and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him. And he said unto him, what doest thou here, Elijah?
You get 10.
And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away.
So you see what the prophets went through just for speaking the word of the Lord? Or you would think that you would want to hear what the Most High has to say. But they wanted to kill the prophets. Well, not wanted to. They were killing the prophets just for speaking the words of the Lord. That's how wicked our people were, at this time. And, it's still like that. But we're going to skip down to verse 18 here.
Verse 18, yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, and the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed him.
All right, we went into that. Which lesson was that we went into? kissing the son and what this means in Psalms, the second chapter. I can't remember which lesson that was, but basically this is saying that there was a select amount of what we call here in the scriptures the election of grace, or the elect, or the remnant that the Most High has set apart. All right, so basically Elijah here is, he pleading with the Most High because it feel like it's just him. He said that, and I, even I only, am left, and they trying to take me away. And the Most High is telling him he got a small remnant left that's worshiping him and him only, that's not bowed his knees to Baal, all right, to the pagan gods. All right. And let's get verse 5 so we can start explaining this.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, and verse 5. Even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
So Paul used this example to show that out of all of Israel at that time, he only had 7,000 set aside. And it's the same way now. We went into Christianity in the last lesson, these other religions as well, how many billions some of those followings had, and millions of people that follow those different doctrines. It's only going to be a small amount of people that is willing to accept his word, willing to accept the truth. All right. That's not going to bow their knees to Baal, to the image of Baal. And what does this mean? It doesn't have to be the particular pagan god Baal. It could be any pagan god. It's the same thing, because they're all the same thing. If you're not of the Most High, you're on the left-hand path. If you're not hearing this word, keeping the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High, and showing obedience to him only, and having faith in his son, you're bowing the knee to the image of Baal. It's the same thing. All right, but that's what Paul is going into here. There's only a remnant left. Okay, and that includes right now. That's why he said at this present time. Verse 5, even so then at this present time, also there's a remnant according to the election of grace. Meaning you have to be chosen by the Most High to receive this word. The fact that you hear right now, the fact that you're listening to this, was because of the grace of the Most High, by him choosing you to even be here. All right. That's what the election of grace is his divine favor towards you. All right. And we got a ton of scriptures on the remnant that we gonna get into later to explain that even further. But let's get verse 6 for now.
Verse 6. And if by grace, then is no more work, it's like you. And if by grace, then is it no more of works? Otherwise, grace is no more grace. But if it be of works, then it is no more grace. Otherwise, work is no more work.
Okay, so what is it saying here? A lot of people may take this to say, oh, well, you don't have to do the works. The works is the law. It's just by grace now. That's not what this is saying. This is saying, and by grace, there's no more works, meaning what you do here on earth does not dictate whether you're going to be a part of the elect or not. When I say that, I'm not referring to keeping the commandments or not. I'm referring to the Most High showing you this word and you accepting it, being a part of that election. You had to be chosen by the Most High. You have to be chosen by the Most High, and that's to make the kingdom, and also even right now to, adhere to his word. You have to be chosen. It's not because, you were a good person before and then you found the scriptures because of that. It's because of his grace. And grace is not referring to what they tell you, in church and things of that nature, where it's this period of not being judged by the Most High for your sins. I mean, this verse alone proves that, because how would that fit here? And if by grace, then there's no more of works. If not a period that you're not going to be judged for your sins, then there's no more works. That's not what this is talking about here. All right. Grace is no more grace, meaning if it was because of you, then favor wouldn't matter. If you could, make yourself be a part of the elect. All right. So what you do is not what makes you have favor, per se. The Most High still has to choose you. All right. So if you're chosen by the Most High to receive the word, then you have to take full advantage of that and do whatever you can do. Does not literally mean do nothing, or okay, well, Most High chose me, I'm good to go now. I ain't got to do nothing. Let me go and eat what I want to eat, not study, so on and so forth. That he's only talking about one particular thing here. All right. So let's get a little more on the remnant. Let's get Isaiah 46:3.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 46 and verse 3. And it reads, "Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb."
Which are carried from the womb. So from the womb, it was already known. The Most High already knew. And even before that, from foundation of the earth, the Most High already knew who he was going to choose to be his remnant. All right. That's what it's referring to. All right. And you receive that by grace. Again, grace is not a period where you're not judged until Yahweh comes back. It's divine favor. Most High has to have favor on you. All right. That's why, you can't force somebody to get this word. You can't force it on them. No matter what you say, what you do, how many scriptures you send them, how deep your breakdowns are, how well you are with words, how eloquent you are, it does not matter if the Most High does not have grace on that person, if they are not part of the remnant. And now I'm not saying or claiming I'm a part of remnant or we know who the remnant is. We're just referring to here, in the end time, who the remnant will be. It's not something that you can choose yourself. The Most High had to choose you. All right. And let's get these scriptures on the remnant now. Let's get Micah chapter 4 and verse 7.
The book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 7. "And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast off, her that was cast far off, a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever."
Okay, so why are we going here? Because, we need to see that Paul is using the same, same verbiage that we saw in the quote unquote Old Testament. It's because he's referring to the same people. Like, look at this, for example. Why did Paul go into Elijah and what happened with him, to break down what's going on here? Why is Paul always using Israelite history if this was talking about the other nations? Why is he not talking about Alexander the Freak? He had already been born at this time, born and died. So why he ain't talking about him? If this is who he was talking to. All right, he could have been talking about the pharaohs. Well, what about Pharaoh so-and-so, what he did? He's talking about Israelites. Elijah was an Israelite. All right, he's breaking down Israelite history because he's getting everything that he knows from the quote unquote Old Testament. All right. And I will make her that halted a remnant. Right now we're halted. All right. Actually, let's get we could have got all this, but to get to the point, let's go back to verse 6 here.
Book of Micah, chapter 4, and verse 6. In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halted, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted.
Her that I have afflicted is referring to the nation of Israel, the daughter of Zion. All right. That's been afflicted. Right now, we're being afflicted. So our people are under the curses and they don't even realize it. All right. We've been driven out of our land. That's why where are so-called Black people from? You could say Africa, but where at in Africa? What country are Black people from? Which country in Africa? Africa is a continent. So which country are you from? And if you know which country you're from in Africa, why not just go back to your own country if you're from there? It's because we're not from a particular place in West Africa, which they try to tell you. We're originally from the land of Israel. That's our motherland. Like it tells you in the book of Galatians, okay? It's not Africa, it's Israel, or Jerusalem. Is that Galatians, the 4th chapter?
Verse 6.
Yeah, or is it 26?
Might be 26.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, so it's all good. Galatians 4 and 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. Jerusalem is the motherland, man. All right. That's why, you can't pinpoint a specific place in Africa that you're from. All right. What is the land of Black? What is the language of Black? Where does that come from? These are questions that you need to be asking. You know what I'm saying? Understand where you're from. And they call right now, quote unquote, Black History Month. Well, you can't have history for a color. Okay. You can have Israelite History Month, Canaanite History Month. Those are actual nations with heritage and customs and people. Did I say languages? Languages, if I didn't say that. So on and so forth. But you can't have a color history that belongs in a crayon box. All right. But anyway, let's get verse 8.
It's the book of Micah, chapter 4 and verse 8. And it reads, and thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem.
That's that first dominion that we read about, in Revelation 20th chapter. But point is, though, I want to get that part, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion. That's what this is referring to, the Israelites. All right, that's that remnant that Paul is referring to here. All right, the nation of Israel, that set apart election of grace that the Most High had favor on to come back to him. All right. We broke this chapter down right here, Revelation chapter 12. Let's see what it says in verse 17.
The book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
Salat, you said with the whole nation of Israel?
The dragon was wroth with the woman.
And went to make war with who?
The remnant of her seed.
See, it's the remnant. All right, you keep on.
Which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach.
So you might thought I was cap earlier when I said that the remnant is those that keep the commandments of the Most High and have faith in the Son, but it's right here. Okay, that's who the remnant is going to be. That set apart, the elect, the ones that was chosen from the entire crowd, like the 7,000 from the whole nation of Israel. All right. So it's not a good thing to be a part of a big crowd. you don't want to go after Christianity just because it's the most popular religion. That's not a good thing. All right. When it comes to the scriptures, the less the better, not the more the merrier. Okay, because it's a narrow gate. We know that in Matthew the 7th chapter. You know, it's a narrow path to get to the kingdom. Many trials and tribulations. Okay, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, you're gonna be jammed up. Now, I believe I said that before, but it's the truth. You're gonna be jammed up doing what everybody else is doing. All right, let's get Zechariah 8 and 12.
It's the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 12. For the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give her fruit, and the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give her dew, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things.
Which people is that? Let's get verse 13.
Verse 13, and it shall come to pass that as ye were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong.
Con. So that remnant is of the house of Judah and the house of Israel. Okay. The world of Israel. All of Israel, meaning both of the kingdoms, the two families. All right. The complete tree, the complete olive tree, the house of Judah and the house of Israel. That's who the remnant is referring to. So this remnant is not just a mixture of a bunch of nations mixed together. That just doesn't make sense. It's not biblical. It doesn't say that here. And you can't go to a verse in here or a chapter or whatever that, you know, speaks such things. It's just not in here. All right, so that's what the remnant is, and according to the election of grace, like if we look at the word election here in a concordance, it's G1589, al colge. All right, what does it say? The act of picking out, choosing. Well, who is the chosen? Everybody already know that. All right, let's get Deuteronomy 14 and 2.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14 and verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all nations that are upon the earth.
Above all nations that are upon the earth. This is the nation of Israel, chosen and called to be above all nations that are upon the planet Earth. So this remnant is from the chosen seed line, all right, which is the children of Israel, the house of Judah and the house of Israel, like we just read. Okay, so we saw that the Most High didn't cast away his people. That means that this word is still true. We're still chosen to be a peculiar people, a special people unto the Most High himself, a holy people, a set apart people. All right. So this word is still true. So don't look at the quote unquote Old Testament as, you know, a word that holds no more weight. It still does. All the words are still true. All right. That's what it is to be a part of the elect. Now we could get more specific, but I think we kind of covered that in Revelation, the 7th chapter, and things of that nature. But right now we just hitting on what a remnant, what that means, and what it means to be part of the election of grace, but not by works. All right, let's get verse 7 now, Baba Kasha.
The book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 7. What then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
Okay, so Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for. What's that referring to? It's referring to the wicked Israelites that's constantly looking for a sign. You know, they constantly looking for something to validate themselves in the flesh. All right, but the election or the elect, once you get these scriptures, you good. You've obtained what you're looking for. You know, I stopped searching. Once I found this truth, I stopped searching because I was good. All my questions were answered. You know, when I was in that church system, none of my questions were answered. I didn't know why our people were in a condition we were in. I didn't know why we were called black. All right, what our language was, where we are from, why we were put in slavery, where is our history? All right, why do we have so many of our men that are not in the household? Why do we have so many of our men that don't take care of their kids? Why are our women just running crazy out here? All that is answered for me now. So I'm good. I've obtained what I need to obtain. All right. But the rest were blinded. Let's get some examples here. I need it in Romans. That was more on the elect. I'll go back to that. Let's get 1 John chapter 2 and 11.
It's the book of 1 John, chapter 2 and verse 11. And it reads, but he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness have blinded his eyes.
That darkness has blinded his eyes, hated his brother. Who you know would kill his own brother over a pair of Jordans? Who you know kill his brother over some, he even got to be Jordans. You step on a brother's shoe that, you know, some $20 kicks and he ready to kill you. Who else you know? What nation of people you know hate his brother so much? They kill their own people that are successful. They so angry at their own people that they kill those that are successful instead of protecting them even more, or whatever the case. Not saying you got to protect those more, but you get what I'm saying. Who else does that? This is referring to the so-called black man that hates his own brother, that's in darkness. All right. And this is who the scriptures is not for. If you hated your brother, then you in darkness and your eyes have been blinded and this word is not for you. All right. Unless you can repent and come from that. All right. That's what Paul is going into. The rest were blinded. All right. Because if you're doing that, you blinded. You're looking for a brother to get into it with, you blinded. You out here with eyes, but you can't even see. You in darkness. All right, let's get 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Get straight to the point, verse 4.
Good. It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4 and verse 4, and it reads, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of this glorious gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them.
All right. So those that believe not are the ones that are blinded. All right. When you believe in this word, you can see because you had a light. All right. Which is Yahweh, which is the word. Without the word, you're blinded. You're in darkness. You are legally blind. All right. You can't see. All right. You don't know what you're doing. I mean, think about if you had roads with no lights at all. That's not telling you you can go, you can yield, or you need to stop. It'd be complete chaos. And that's how you are without this rule book, meaning the Most High statute, laws, and commandments. You have no direction. You just out here freestyling. It's like you get into a car and you just going to and fro, taking lefts, rights, going straight, and you have no destination. The destination is supposed to be the kingdom, but if you have no directions, no GPS, no guidelines to get there, what you doing? You just out here in darkness.
It's a lot.
Blinded. Con.
I had a precept just
bring
on
it.
what it means to believe. The book of Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 24.
Con. All right. It's the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 32 and verse 24. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandment, and he that trusted in him shall fare never the worse.
So if you truly believe in the Lord, then you take heed to the commandments. So I just wanted to bring that out to make sure everybody understands what it means to believe.
Con. Absolutely. I stand behind that 100%. That's what it means to believe. Not that you go to church and you call yourself a believer. You have to actually display that belief. All right. If you tell your significant other that you love them, but you did nothing to show it, then, you just talking. So likewise, if you say you believe in the Most High and you do nothing to prove that through your actual life, building your spirit up, because that's what really matters, then you don't believe. You have to take heed to the commandment. Thus saith the Lord. All right. We're back here in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them. That's why you can't help certain people, because they've been blinded by the God of this world. Who is the God of this world? Satan is. All right. So if you of this world, you of Satan. If you don't know what that means, just, think of it like this. The God of this world being Satan just means that everything around you is pretty much satanic, whether you know it or not. Why is it satanic? Because it's all deceitful. All right, it's all fake. As long as you consider the Most High real, everything around you is fake. All the stories you see on the news, agendas behind them that you don't realize, or most people don't realize. The food is fake. The holidays, all fake. Like today, we was going into that earlier. Today is what? Groundhog Day. And Groundhog Day is a pagan holiday. And that's what they do. They try to get you to keep these days. And you think it's something insignificant like Groundhog Day, but it's really, going into a pagan holiday. All right. I might even pull that up just real quick. But, that's what it means by the God of this world. It's, Satan is put his hands on everything if you are part of this world. That's why you don't want to be a part of it. You want to be a part of these scriptures, man. All right. It just real quick, Mbulk is the name of this, the real name of what's going on. They try to get you to keep this. You see, it's Tuesday, February 1st, so Wednesday, February 2nd. All right. A Gaelic traditional festival, a time of magical energy related to the feminine aspect of the goddess. This is not in the scriptures, man. All right. So, of course, it's not a major holiday or nothing like that. People don't get off of work for it, but it just shows you how much satanic energy is interwoven into everything that we do here in this country. All right. But anyway, let's get I believe I had even more on that though. Yeah, it's talking about the remnant, but I had something else on that. Yeah, let's get Ezekiel chapter 12 and start at 1 and go through 2.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 12 and verse 1. The word of the Lord also came unto me, saying, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house.
We're a rebellious house. That's what it means to not see. All right, you have eyes to see and you see not. You don't know what's going on out here, man. You might as well close your eyes because they're not doing nothing for you. Ears to hear and hear not. If you can't hear the word of the Lord, you got ears for no reason, man. You only hearing Satan. If you can't hear the Most High, the only other choice you got is to hear Satan, the God of this world. That's all you got. There's no in between. Okay. If you thinking of waiting, till you older and all that, whatever, how old you are, well, I'm gonna just get at the Lord next year. You may not have it next year. You need to make haste to come into the Lord. Thus saith the scriptures, man. All right. Don't be rebellious. Let's come back to Father, man. Come back to the Most High, to your Father. All right. So let's get did we get verse 8?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, let's get verse 8.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 8. According as it is written, the Most High have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear until this day.
Until this day. That's still right now, man. Let's keep going.
Verse 9. And David saith, let their table be made a snare, and a trap, and a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them.
So again, if you can't see, you got a stumbling block. All right, you just out here fumbling, falling over stuff. And that's what happened if you try to walk outside, with your eyes closed and just start running. You might run your head to a stop sign, might run to somebody's house, run into an ant pit or something, run into a wild animal. It ain't no telling. A stumbling block. All right. But you're doing this, you get in your own way. If you're not accepting the Most High, you really get into your own way. All right. And what's supposed to be made a blessing to you, a free gift, is actually made into a stumbling block for you, to a trap. So you gotta be careful. Let's get verse 10.
Verse 10. Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, and bow down their back always.
So they may not see, bow down their back always. All right. Meaning you're gonna stay that way. All right, let's get verse 11.
Verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
Okay, look, I get it. This verse uses the word Gentiles, so I get it. It could appear to someone that this is saying the Jews or the Israelites, they fail, therefore salvation is now into the other nations for to provoke them to jealousy. Look, I understand that's what it could appear to be, but that's not the case here. Okay, and we're going to prove that. Let's get verse 12 for a complete thought.
Verse 12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
Okay, so this is just referring to what you may have heard us go into before, the northern and the southern kingdom. So they right here, they stumble that they should fall, is referring to the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom or the tribe that Yahushua is also a part of. All right. So the southern kingdom, well, I said the tribe, y'all know what I mean, though, the southern kingdom or the tribe of Judah. That's the tribe that stumbled when Yahushua came on the scene because a lot of them rejected him. That was their fall. But a temporary fall, not a permanent fall, but temporary fall. That's what this is referring to. So when They didn't accept Yahushua. That made way for the northern kingdom too. Okay. This is all this is referring to. It says, now if the fall of them be the riches of the world. Let's just grab a classic precept here. Might as well. Let's get Isaiah 45 and 17.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
World without end. World without end. All right. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? Why does it even say the fullness? What is that referring to? We already established that this is referring to the remnant. A remnant is not a full number, because remember here, when Paul went into the prophet Elijah, he said, what saith the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Meaning that small remnant, out of all the people that were in idolatry, he had 7,000 men set to the side for a remnant. So if this was referring to, fullness, meaning all nations of people, that'll be pretty much contradicting itself here, because he just talked about there being a small number, a remnant set aside. When it says fullness, is referring to the northern and the southern kingdom coming back together to represent all of Israel. That's what that fullness means. Okay, but let's prove that though with a little etymology here. Now let's go. We're gonna go into the concordance here. When I say concordance, that's basically a breakdown of the words here in the original language. This is the app Blue Letter Bible that you can look in a concordance on, or a breakdown of these words, but you also can buy a concordance separate. So Blue Letter Bible is not the only concordance or anything. All right, let's go G4138. And the word fullness here, let's see what they have for it. All right, that which is has been filled. Body of believers. Look, I'm not dealing with that. Let's see. Completeness or fullness of time. Fullness, abundance, a fulfilling keeping. But look, it says fullness and abundance. All right. Like we pretty much know, but where else did we see this word being used? The fullness, the abundance, that full number. Where else did we see that at? The book of Genesis. Y'all remember when, Joseph was it, in his last days? All right. Or Salak, when Israel was in his last days. All right. Let's see what was told and prophesied about, Ephraim. Let's get we're gonna get straight to the point for the second time. Let's get verse 19.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 48 and verse 19. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
His seed shall be a multitude of nations, referring to Ephraim, which was the younger brother. Manasseh was the older brother. Okay. But the reason that we're here is to show that Paul is referring to the quote unquote Old Testament. He's referring to all nations of Israel being put back together. Okay. One kingdom fell, so one kingdom can be brought in for their fullness. All right, when we see a multitude of nations here, let's look at the breakdown for this. All right. Right here on the word multitude. Fullness, that which fills, fullness. It's the same word that we see right here in verse 12. How much more their fullness? That multitude is the same multitude of nations from Ephraim. And Ephraim is from what? The northern kingdom. That's the Gentiles that's being referred to here. All right, that full number.
Shalom.
Khan.
What was that concordance for the multitude?
Khan. It was H
4393. Okay, Con.
4393.
The water, brother.
Khan. All right, so that's what we see here. All right, that's what Paul is referring to. You think he don't know, Genesis 48? He does. A lot of prophecies in Genesis haven't even been fulfilled yet. And Paul was using the book of Genesis, everything in a quote unquote Old Testament for his breakdowns. And he's talking to people that know the scriptures as well. Not talking to random, when I say people, so like, I mean, Israelites that know the scriptures. All right, they just need a better understanding of what's going on, but they're familiar with the scriptures. That's why he's able to talk about, Elijah. Because he's talking to Israelites that know the word, that know the law. If he was talking to random people, they wouldn't even know who Elijah was. All right. But that's what that full number is. Okay, so this chapter is not talking about the other nations of people. You can't go anywhere else and find, the original words here linking up so perfectly like that just linked up. Okay. And the rest of the chapter pretty much says the same thing. All right, let's go ahead and get verse 13.
It's the book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify mine office.
Yeah, he's apostle of the Gentiles, meaning the northern kingdom that didn't know that they were Israelites at first, that came back to make that fullness, that full number, the world of Israel. Because that's what the Bible is really about. Both kingdoms coming back to fall under the kingdom of David, the tabernacles of David. All right. Like in Acts 15 and Amos, the 9th chapter. That's what the Bible is really about. Because at this time, you had our people that went off into these different countries that took on all these different customs. Okay, we were known as Romans, Galatians, Corinthians, Spartans, Trojans, Romans. I said Romans yet? All of that. Yeah, Trojans too. If you've seen the movie Troy, that was our people as well. And I can prove that, but we'll leave that to another time. Let's keep going.
Verse 14. If by any means I provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them.
So he's trying to save some of his flesh, meaning the southern kingdom, because the tribe of Benjamin is of the southern kingdom, which further lets you know that he's talking about his own people, says that are my flesh. All right, he's talking about the southern kingdom. Okay, which the southern kingdom is the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Judah. And sometimes you may have the Levites in there as well. All right, let's get verse 15.
Verse 15. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be? But life from the dead.
Well, we know that. Let's just get there real quick. Proverbs 21:16, Baba Kashaf.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 21 and verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
So if you wander away from this word, you are dead. We know the wages of sin is death, right? So if you don't have the word, you are in sin, because sin is the transgression of the law. So that's wandering in the way of, out of the way of understanding, which makes you in the congregation of the dead. All right. So Paul is saying that he's trying to help the southern kingdom come out of that out of that congregation of the dead. All right. Life from the dead, or like the valley of dry bones. All right. That's what that's referring to. Okay. But its people has not been cast away. We got several scriptures to prove that. That's all this is referring to. It's pretty simple. When you keep the Bible lined up with each other, and I try to throw in, a bunch of new things that was never written, it gets a lot more simple. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
Okay, so the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. Meaning, Yahweh is from the tribe of Judah. He's the first fruits. All right. And it tells you that in 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. Around the 23rd verse. What would I do? Ain't that good enough for y'all? Okay. Yeah, let's get 1 Corinthians 15:23.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 15 and verse 23. But every man in his own order, Hamashiach, the first fruits. Afterward, they are Hamashiach's and his coming.
Okay, Christ is the first fruits. All right. And him being of a tribe of Judah, if the root be holy, so are the branches that come off of him. All right, the tree of life. Yahushua is likened to the tree of life. So his branches that come off from him will be holy as well. Right? So let's get, I believe I had Jeremiah 11 pull it up to you. Yeah. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 11 and let's get verse 16.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 11 and verse 16. The Lord called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he hath kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken.
Keep going.
For the Lord of hosts that planted thee have pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me to anger, in offering incense unto Baal.
All right, so you see that the same, verbiage with the green olive tree or the branches is referred to with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. This is what Paul is going into here. Okay. Just like in Psalms, the first chapter, you have, a man of the Lord being likened to a tree, being rooted just like a tree. That's what Paul is going into here. When you see him talking about branches, he's talking about the northern and southern kingdom, which is the same thing essentially as the house of Israel and the house of Judah. House of Judah would be the southern kingdom, essentially. And then the house of Israel would be the northern kingdom, or Ephraim, which is the chief tribe of the house of Israel. That's why we got that in Genesis, the 48th chapter. All right, because it was prophesied that the northern kingdom would be a multitude of nations and would be fruitful. Okay, and that's why he's using all this same, same symbology here. So they can put it all together, because they read these scriptures before, but you got to break it down this way. Okay. So I think it's about time. Because if we keep going, there's got a whole nother breakdown going for real. What else I have right here? Said, yeah, I had that Psalms chapter 1. Yeah, we gonna end with that. Let's get Psalm chapter 1 and verse 1, and we'll go all the way to verse 3.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 1 and verse 1, and it reads, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Uh,
But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night."
the law is done away with, though, ain't it? So why would your delight be in the law of the Lord if it's done away with? Like, you can't think the scriptures are a game, man, that the Most High just said all this, and then now it's just null and void. It, it has to be something else going on. Maybe it's just your understanding. Maybe you are, required to keep his statutes and laws. Maybe it's just your understanding. Anyways, keep going.
Verse 3, "And he shall be like a tree planted by rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper."
Con. So this is same symbology with the tree, okay, and the branches. That's why Paul is breaking this down this way. Now we're gonna keep going into it, after this, but the point is, it's not referring to the other nations of people. Psalms 1 and 1 is talking about a man of the Lord being a man of Israel. Okay. Chief man, by the way, that studies the law. The law was only given to Israel, so how could that be referring to anyone else? Okay, you can't meditate on the law day and night that was never given unto you. So that's it. We can't continue. We could do the rest of the chapter if brothers want, or if not, we could leave it there. It's up to brothers, wherever y'all want to do it. But for now, I yield.